Thank you for tuning in Teachers of Europe podcast, a podcast to support teachers across Europe in addressing common classroom challenges and featuring teachers that can inspire others to follow their footsteps. My name is Alexandra Almpanidou and I'm your host in today's episode. I used to be a teacher myself in schools of Finland, the UK and Greece, and now I work as a pedagogical coordinator for the European School Education Platform. It's quite alarming to hear that according to the latest data collected by the European Commission on promoting supportive learning environments and supporting well-being at school report, 24% of teachers in Europe report their job having a negative impact on their mental health and 22% report the same for their physical health. Today we are deep diving into this pressing issue that has been gaining recognition and attention, and that is teacher well-being. Our guest in this episode is Miguela Fernandes, computer science teacher from Portugal, meditation facilitator, and children's yoga teacher. She believes that we should never ever give up on a student. Welcome, Miguela. We are very pleased to have you with us.
Thank you, Alexandra. I'm very happy to be invited to this podcast, which will focus on an important topic such as teacher well-being. And most of the time it's forgotten. I mean, at least in Portugal. So it's very nice to be here. Thank you.
We are also joined by Dr. Benjamin Dreer, Scientific Director of Erfurt School of Education, whose research mainly focuses on teacher well-being. Benjamin, hello, welcome, and thanks a lot for joining. It's a very big pleasure to have you with us.
Thank you. Hello, Alexandra. Hello, Miguela, and hello to the listeners. I'm very happy to be here as well, especially pleased to see that the crucial topic of teacher well-being is being highlighted in this podcast.
Thank you both. So I think I will begin with the first question to you, Miguela. There has been substantial research on emotional exhaustion, strain, and stress among teachers. These issues are argued to not just be parts of certain school systems or countries, but they are fundamental characteristics of the teaching profession. So based on your teaching experience, which is very long, which are the main struggles that teachers face that lead to high rates of burnout and attrition?
From my experience, teachers are often exhausted due to heavy workloads, which include lesson planning, grading, preparing material, attending to meetings, and then managing extracurricular activity. I mean, the number of tasks can be overwhelming, and leaving little time for teacher for their personal time and sometimes also to rest. Another significant challenge is coping with large class sizes that make very different kind of needs, learnings students. So sometimes we need to look to all the students, but it's not very easy. So providing an individual attention and support to each student can be particularly difficult in such environment, leading to stress and exhaustion.
Yes, thanks for that overview, Miguela. Just to come in here briefly, research actually shows that there's no strong correlation between class size and student learning. Instead, what really matters is the quality of the teacher. But unfortunately, teacher well-being is often overlooked in this matter. Working with large numbers of students can be incredibly demanding on teachers and as a result, very stressful.
Also, dealing with the behaviors issues in the classroom can be emotionally complicated, especially when we are facing a continuous disruptive behavior, which can contribute also to increase the stress levels. Another thing, there are situations where teachers have to address students' personal problems, making the job emotionally very demanding. Furthermore, also teachers are expected to be innovative and creative while still preparing students for national exams, for instance, which can be very demanding. In some cases, the lack of support in teacher training, especially related also with technology, managing with various platforms for updating information can lead to feelings of frustration and also burnout. Unfortunately, in Portugal, I feel that our work as a teacher is also not fully recognized, and we face a number of challenges that make our job far from being easy. So it's a very hard task.
Benjamin, what do you think? Do you agree? How does teacher well-being contribute to creating an environment where everyone can thrive, learn, and succeed?
Well, research suggests that there may be numerous positive effects of teacher well-being. Let me just name 3 that are particularly important from my point of view. At first, there are the benefits for the teachers themselves, like health and sleep quality. Another benefit is increased job satisfaction. See, when teachers' well-being is prioritized, they simply enjoy work more. This includes experiencing positive emotions, experiencing meaning, and a sense of achievement. The good thing is, higher level of job satisfaction lead to fewer teachers leaving the profession. Second, there are benefits for students, obviously. These involve an improved classroom climate and enhanced teacher-student relationships. When teachers are in a good state of well-being, they are more likely to demonstrate empathy, patience, and understanding toward their students. They are more open to make use of new methods, which enriches their teaching. And teachers who prioritize their well-being are better equipped to manage stress and maintain a positive classroom climate. They are more likely to establish a calm and respectful atmosphere, which enhances students' engagement, motivation, and overall well-being. A third aspect is about the benefits of well-being in training the next generation of teachers. See, teachers serve as role models for pre-service teachers. They educate. By prioritizing their well-being, teachers demonstrate the importance of self-care, resilience, and work-life balance. Student teachers who observe the teachers in classroom situations can learn from these positive behaviors, which can in turn influence their own well-being and mindset.
Miguela, do you want to add anything maybe?
I fully agree with Benjamin. Being an e-twinner gave me the opportunity also to connect with other teachers. And what I observe is that in places where teachers are recognized, appreciated, and supported by policymakers, they can work and feel much better. Also, and their classroom thrives. Teachers play a crucial role in society development, and their contribution is essential. However, if the work is not properly appreciated or valued or adequately compensated, it becomes challenging to attract aspiring educators. For instance, now in Portugal, we don't have many teachers coming to the profession. From what I know, it's not only a Portuguese problem. Many other countries, at least in Europe, are facing the same. And why? Due to what we already mentioned before, but also due to low salaries. So it's not easy. And if we continue like this, maybe we won't have teachers in a few years, which is happening right now in Portugal.
Most of the points that you mentioned, Miguela, such as low salaries, lack of appreciation and respect to the teaching profession, require more system-based or institutional changes, and this is a topic that we are going to examine later on. I believe it's still essential to try and uncover ways to establish boundaries or explore self-care techniques for teachers to nurture their mental and emotional well-being. Miguela, given your engagement with meditation, yoga, and the Ubuntu Academy, I would like to start with you.
Thank you for your kind words and interest in my engagement in meditation, yoga, and Ubuntu Academy. I am truly honored to share my advice with other teachers that are listening. When I start practicing yoga and meditation, I discovered the immense power of self-awareness and self-care. And I do believe that these are essential for every teacher. We need to stop in some moments. We need to be more mindfulness through meditation. And it will help us to find our inner peace. You know, sometimes teachers really need to stop because we have many challenges during the day. So we need to find a way to stop. Also, sometimes we think about yoga as a physical practice, but it's not only physical. So this is why I believe in my case it's important, because it's connecting the mind, the body, and the soul. And integrating yoga into our routine in our everyday, even if it's a few minutes, it will change our life. It will reduce our stress. It will help us to foster a deeper connection with ourselves and with the students, which is what we want. We want to have happy students. It may seem paradoxical, but when we have too much work, we are overloaded with extra activities, it's better to take a break. Take a break, take a walk, go around, take fresh air, make some gymnastic if you want, whatever, but just stop, because our brain really needs to stop. And if we don't have the practice to do any activities, well, we should put it into our calendar, similar like we do other activities. So I have in my calendar, in my agenda, all the tasks that I should have that day. We also have personal time for us. So such as meditation, yoga, or any kind of activity that you enjoy, like running, going out, seeing the nature, whatever that make us feel good. Everything becomes much more manageable and with less efforts. If we are happy, if we are okay, everything gets easier. So this can be a really game changer for our lives.
Yes, that's definitely a really important reminder and really essential advice, especially to new teachers. Miguela, you're also engaged in the Ubuntu Academy that we mentioned before. For those of you who have never heard of it, it's a non-formal education program that revolves around the following pillars: self-knowledge, self-confidence, resilience, empathy, and service. But please tell us more.
As you mentioned, for the pillars Ubuntu Academy, they are truly inspires, and I think that all the schools in Europe should integrate Ubuntu Academy in the school approach. Natural self-knowledge in students, it's about helping them to discover their unique strength and passion, or cultivate like self-confidence. It is the foundation in which they will grow and they will flourish. Resilience, we know that it's very important to be resilient, and in order to not giving up, and sometimes things are hard, so it's very good. Empathy, it's really another pillar that is really important for every day. Understanding the other person, their thoughts, their feelings. And also, obviously, the service, teaching students to give back, to make positive impact in the world. And this is really good. School, obviously, that this is not only a teacher decision, it's a school approach. School need to support teacher, but also making it a concern for policy makers. For instance, in my school, we implemented Ubuntu Academy, which creates a supportive community for teachers and students. In July, we were in Ubuntu Fest, and it was impressive to see the teachers and students having fun together, having the same basis, these pillars which unite them. In our case, Ubuntu has changed in Portugal many schools' philosophy, emphasizing the importance of the community, because we are all part of your community, not only my school, all the schools in Portugal, supporting and prioritizing human values. We take care of each other, and this is very good.
That's great and reassuring to hear, Miguela, thank you. What I found particularly interesting in the approach of Ubuntu Academy is its focus on developing ethics of care and promoting dialogue between and within the communities. Speaking of communities, empathy and care, I would like to move on to the next point of our discussion. Teachers' well-being should not just be considered as their own responsibility. While individual efforts are essential, prioritizing teacher well-being requires a more systemic approach that involves the collective support of colleagues and the entire school community. Benjamin, would you like to share your thoughts on the power of building supportive networks?
Yeah, certainly, Alexandra, thank you. Building supportive networks for teacher well-being could hold significant power and benefits, like as we know from research. One important benefit could be emotional support. Connecting with colleagues, mentors, or like-minded educators provides opportunities for emotional support, for gathering empathy, for understanding each other, and sharing experiences, challenges, and successes with each other who can relate to the situation you're in at the moment, fosters a sense of belonging and reduces feelings of isolation. We also know that sharing successes can reinforce and prolong positive experience connected to a success. When sharing positive experiences in a group, it's like light in mirrors. It bounces around and comes back to you, compared than just enjoying a success on your own. A second benefit could be motivation and inspiration. Celebrating successes, acknowledging achievements, and encouraging one another's growth can boost morale and renew enthusiasm for the profession. Positive interactions within these networks can reignite passion and commitment to teaching. And this seems very important given all the aspects that were highlighted by Miguela and you, Alexandra.
Absolutely, Benjamin. Thank you for sharing your insights. Miguel, I would also like to hear from you on that. How can supportive networks help to improve teachers' well-being? And also very important to discuss, how can teachers establish such networks at their school or elsewhere maybe?
Well, being part of a network like eTwinning, for example, teachers can connect with like-minded colleagues who understand their experience, their struggle, and providing a sense of friendship and unity. eTwinning is a great tool. Additionally, this supportive network offers a valuable opportunity for professional development and growth. Teachers can exchange ideas, they can share best practice, they will be happy to share it, learn from one another, enriching their teaching methods and expanding their skills. This collaborative learning environment empowers teachers to become better educators, which in turn positively impacts their well-being and their job satisfaction. I truly think that we don't experience as much burnout because teachers are very supportive to each other. Sometimes we even play the role of psychologists for one another, offering help to a teacher that needs. However, the truth is that while schools have psychologists for students, there is a lack of support for teachers in this regards. I wonder why Ministry of Education don't make it available in schools and create relaxation spaces like some companies have done. Perhaps this is something that we should implement in all schools in Europe, not just a few. I hope that one day this will change, and it is very important that this happen.
Yeah, I have to say, Miguela, and I have to admit that it's indeed disheartening to hear about the lack of psychological support within the school system. Another important aspect to consider in this discussion is the systemic whole school approach highlighted by the recommendations of the European Commission. A whole school approach to well-being and mental health means having a stronger cooperation with a wide range of stakeholders and the community at large. In our case, these stakeholders could be, for example, psychologists and nurses that will help schools deal with complex issues as they do not and cannot have the relevant expertise for. How are all these elements connected and what role does teacher well-being play in relation to these other factors? For instance, how is student well-being interrelated with teacher well-being? Benjamin, what do you think?
Well, that's a very, very interesting question. And of course, well-being is strongly connected to social aspects. So it's quite logical to look at communities and a whole school as such, or if you like to approach the well-being. The whole school approach emphasizes two significant findings from teacher well-being research. Firstly, teachers are not solely responsible for their own well-being. Others also have an influence on it. And secondly, well-being is a collective endeavor that places the responsibility on the community to recognize and support individuals experiencing poor well-being, for example. However, what is formulated or named here as whole school concept is difficult for research to investigate in terms of its effectiveness. The relationships of the elements in such approaches are quite complex. As researchers, we therefore try to first identify and better understand the basic mechanisms. One fundamental mechanism is, for example, that of emotional contagion. Louis Armstrong describes this well in his song, When You're Smiling. There's a line that goes, when you're smiling, the whole world smiles with you. And indeed, it works a little like this. When people see others smiling and in a good mood, they tend to smile as well, which elevates their own mood. Applied to the entire school approach, it becomes clear that if there are many people with negative emotions at a school, we have a negative dynamic that even a single happy teacher cannot change. On the other hand, if there are many people who smile and are joyful, it can have a contagious effect and change the entire climate. The positive aspect is that it works in all directions. If the parents of the students organize a surprise celebration for teachers, for example, it can contribute to an increased sense of well-being among the teachers. So in the whole school approach, there are several ways that open up to enhance and increase well-being of all those parties involved.
Yeah, actually, Louis Armstrong's song also brought a smile to my face too. It's certainly contagious. And what a simple, costless, and effective example of spreading joy.
Yes, I fully agree. I felt the same, Alexandra. Smiling indeed helps us to reduce stress hormone levels in our body, such as cortisol, leading us to a calmer state of mind. It is contagious. When we smile to others, it often prompts that they smile back, fostering positive social interaction in a sense of belonging. Entering to the teacher classroom, for instance, and or to any other room or to the classroom with a big smile can truly brighten our days. And if someone enter in the classroom with a happy smile, we are happy. In the other hand, positive feedback from school headmaster, from parents, even students can significantly contribute to teacher well-being. Feeling recognized and valued within the education community has a positive impact in creating a wonderful environment for both for educators and for learners.
And Miguela, what role do relationships with parents and families play in teacher well-being? And how can teachers ensure those relationships don't impact their well-being in a negative way?
I believe that the relationship that teachers build with parents and families play a significant role in their overall well-being and job satisfaction. Positive and supportive connection with parents can create harmonious and enriching learning environment, while a negative and strained relationship can lead to stress and impact the well-being negatively, because this can mean that the relationship with the children is not the best. Positive relationship with parents can bring a sense of partnership, a collaboration to the educational journey. For instance, when parents participate in school activities, like different kind of special day that we have, or even when we invite parents to a twinning project, Erasmus activities, or in our case, for instance, we had Ubuntu Parents Days. When parents are actively involved and engaged in their children's education, teachers often experience a deeper sense of support and appreciation. And this can boost their confidence, our motivation, the job satisfaction, knowing that their efforts are acknowledged and valued by students, but for parents too.
On this positive note, I would like to bring this episode to a close. Benjamin and Miguela, I cannot thank you enough for sharing your experience and knowledge with us today, and it was a big pleasure discussing with you.
Thank you, Alexandra. The pleasure was mine, and I hope that we do something to change teacher well-being. Thank you very much for the invitation.
Yeah, same here. It was a big pleasure to talk with you too about the important topic of teacher well-being. And we hope this reaches a broad audience out there.
Also, a very big thank you to our listeners who joined us for one more episode of the Teachers of Europe podcast. Keep an eye on what's coming in the European School Education platform, and thank you for tuning in.